Welcome back. 50 years ago, Daniel Inouye was elected to the United States Senate and is now serving his 9th consecutive term.
He's currently the most senior member of the Senate and the highest-ranking Asian American politician in the U.S. history. Rachel Wagenman got a chance to meet our very own distinguished alum, Senator Daniel Inouye. Rachel?
That's right, Jared. And we're very proud to say that he's actually a graduate from the College of Social Sciences. So it was truly an honor to finally meet him in person. Aloha, Senator Inouye. Thank you so much for joining us today on Ka Hui Ho'olauna. I'm so excited to have you here in studio today because I've read so much about you and I'm really looking forward to this interview.
Thank you.
So why don't we start from the beginning? You didn't grow up too far from here, from the Manoa campus. What was it like growing up in Hawaii before statehood?
I lived about 2 blocks from here. I'm in the class of 46, college, but because of the war, I was delayed a little. So I got back and I felt like an old man on a campus with 18, 19-year-olds. So I spent 1 semester before the war, and at that time I majored in pre-med. I had my heart set on becoming an orthopedic surgeon, because when I was younger, I had a compound fracture and the surgeon did such a good job on me. I wanted to do what he was doing.
Because of the war, you had to change your plans from pre-med to political science, I believe it was. What made you switch to that field?
I was in a hospital in Michigan, and it just happened by coincidence. There were 2 other patients who later on became senators. The fellow closest to me as a friend was a senator called Bob Dole. He told me about public service and such. And I thought to myself, you know, that's something worthy of pursuing. And I began looking into that. I decided to become a public servant. So I went to law school, not with any intention to be a lawyer, but just to prepare myself. I served as an assistant public prosecutor for 1 year. And after that, here I am, politician. The leadership, both sides, have provided me with great opportunities, even as a junior member, being a member of Watergate, chairman of Iran-Contra, chairman of the First Intelligence Committee, and at this moment I'm chairman of the Appropriations Committee and chairman of the Defense Appropriations Committee. They give me all kinds of titles. The most recent one, which is about 2 years old now, I'm the president pro tempore of the Senate. That makes me 3rd in succession to the presidency.
How does that feel? Do you feel a lot of responsibility?
Well, if you look around this room, you'll see about half a dozen security people. I have security 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Does that get tiring?
No, in the beginning it was not tiring, but I wasn't quite used to it, to have them patrolling the apartment and opening the door. I don't carry keys now. Not to my offices, not to my home. I don't drive because they insist on driving for good reason. When you consider that 70 years ago, I was an enemy alien. The government of the United States, after the December 7th attack, made a decision to label all Japanese citizens and otherwise to be enemies of the country. We petitioned the government. They authorized us to serve the country. The regiment I was privileged to serve in, the 442nd, is not only the most decorated unit in the history of the United States, but it's also one of the units with the highest casualties. I am against wars, but I spend a lot of time to make certain that our country is so strong that it would deter war.
On a lighter note, I know that you married your wife, Irene Hirano, in 2008. So how did you two meet?
I knew her for many years before then, for 20 years. She was president of the National Japanese American Museum, and I was the chairman of the Board of Trustees. I had dinner with her to discuss business.
Mm-hmm.
Then suddenly it occurred to me that here was a beautiful woman in front of me. So I proposed to her.
On the spot?
That night.
Oh.
I don't waste time. See?
And she accepted
Now the
without
new
hesitation.
generation, like my son, he got married after he was 40. That's too long.
Straight to business. Going back to UH, how do you think it's changed from how it is today versus how it was back then?
During my time, the University of Hawaii was not a fine university because it had limited funding. Those who were not high class enough or those who could not afford it went to UH. Those who were in a different class go to Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Columbia. Today, the University of Hawaii, don't let it kid you, it's a first-class university. It provides all the doctorates you need. Got a fine medical school, a fine law school. And we have a first-class campus. And I would hope that my granddaughter, when she gets old enough, would have the good sense to come here.
What are maybe some of your best memories about UH?
My first wife, Maggie, she was an assistant professor here. I was a student, and in those days, for a student to date a faculty member was not easy. My first date was at Kewalo Inn. Well, when I got there, I got speechless. I couldn't say anything. And suddenly I spotted out, "Will you marry me?"
Twice then, you've...
First date. And here this assistant professor says, "I'd be happy to."
Oh, that's good news.
Don't waste your time.
I hear that you are seeking another term, a 10th term. Why not retire?
For several reasons. One reason, in our business, if I should ever announce and say that I'm not running anymore, I become what is known as a lame duck. And when you become a lame duck, they don't take you too seriously. They know you're not going to be here tomorrow. They know that your authority is limited. So why should I voluntarily tell the people, cut me down? You should let them always think you're going to be around here. Well, as I told my wife, I will do my damnedest to stay alive, function well until I'm 115.
So,
You watch me, I'll do it.
I have no doubt. So, you've obviously lived a full life full of many achievements. Is there anything that you wish you had done or something you plan to do in the future?
I would like to finish my life as a member of the Senate. I've been there for, well, this year will be 48 years. It's a full-time job. I have no regrets.
Well, Senator, thank you so much for being here on our show, and
It's been a pleasure.
And it's an honor, I'm sure, of the universities to have you represent us. So thank you again.
It makes me very proud to be a graduate of this school. Believe me, I mean that.
Yes, it's a great university. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Senator Inouye has done so much for the state of Hawaii and the United States as a whole. Mahalo, Senator, and it was a pleasure to get to know you. I'm Rachel Wagenman for Ka Hui Ho'olauna.